Nice to meet you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am the President of the United States of America. I am proud to present to you our guest speaker for today, the President of the Philippines, Mrs. Corazon C. Aquino.
In burying Ninoy, a whole nation honored him, that brave and selfless act of giving honor to a nation. In shame recovered its own. A country that had lost faith its future, founded in faithless and brazen act of murder. So in giving we receive, in losing we find out, a defeat snatched of our victory. Answered their prayers for freedom. For myself and our children, Ninoy was a loving husband and father. His loss 3 times in our lives was always deep and painful one. 14 years ago this month, I was the first time we lost him. A president turned dictator and traitor to his oath. Suspended along with 1,000 of others, senators, publishers, and anyone who had spoken up for the democracy and its end drew near. But for Ninoy, a long and cruel ordeal was reserved. The dictator already knew that Ninoy was not a body merely to be imprisoned, but a spirit must break one by one the institutions of democracy, the press, the Congress, the independence of judiciary, the protection of the Bill of Rights. Ninoy kept their spirit alive himself. The government sought to break in the north. They stripped him naked and held a threat of a sudden midnight execution over his head. Ninoy held up manfully under all of it. I barely did as well. For 43 days, its authority and went to a fast. If he survived it, then he felt God intended him for again. For nothing would hold him back for his determination to see his fast through the end. He stopped only with its zone on him, that the government would keep his body alive after the fast had destroyed his brain. And so, at any time during his long ordeal, Ninoy could have made a separate peace, a dictatorship as so many of his countrymen. Fallen on my shoulders to continue offering the democratic alternative to our people. Archibald MacLeish had said that that the democracy must be defended by arms when it's attacked by arms, and with truth when it is attacked by lies. He failed to say how it shall be won. He held fast to Ninoy's conviction that it must be by the ways of democracy. I held out for participation in the 1984 election, the dictatorship called, even if I knew it would be rigged. I was warned by the result of election that were clearly going to be fraudulent. But I was not fighting for lawyers, for the people in whose intelligence I had implicit faith by the exercise of the democracy. Even in dictatorship, they would be prepared for democracy when it came. And then also, it was the only way to know by which we could measure our power, even the terms dictated by the dictatorship. The people vindicated me in an election shamefully, marked by the government, thuggery, and fraud. Once again, thank you and good morning.
Analysis of Cory Aquino's speech. Cory Aquino's speech was an important event in the political and diplomatic history of the country because it has arguably cemented the legitimacy of the EDSA government in the international arena. The speech talks of her family background, especially her relationship with her late husband, Ninoy Aquino. It is well known that it was Ninoy who served as the real leading figure of the opposition at the time. Indeed, Ninoy's eloquence and charisma could very well compete with that of Marcos. In her speech, Cory talked at length about Ninoy's toil and suffering at the hands of the dictatorship that he resisted. Even when she proceeded talking about her new government, she still went back to Ninoy's legacies and lessons. Moreover, her attribution of the revolution to Ninoy's death demonstrates not only Cory's personal perception on the revolution, but since she was the president, it also represents what the dominant discourse was at that point is our history. The ideology or the principles of the new democratic government can also be seen in the same speech. Aquino was able to draw the sharp contrast between her government and of her predecessor by expressing her commitment to a democratic constitution draft by an independent commission. She claimed that such constitution upholds and adheres to the rights and liberty of the Filipino people. Cory also hoisted herself as the reconciliatory agent after more than 2 decades of authoritarian politics. For example, Cory saw the blown-up community insurgency as a product of a repressive and corrupt government. Her response to this insurgency root from her diametric opposition of the dictator, initiating reintegration of a communist rebels to the mainstream Philippines society. Cory claimed that her main approach to this problem was through peace and not through the sword of war. Despite Cory's efforts to hoist herself as the exact opposite of Marcos, her speech still revealed certain parallelism between her and the Marcos government. This is seen in terms of continuing the alliance between the Philippines and the United States despite the known affinity between the said world superpower and Marcos. The Aquino regime, as seen in Cory's acceptance of the invitation to address the U.S. Congress and to the content of the speech, decided to build and continue with the alliance between the Philippines and the United States and effectively implemented an essentially similar foreign policy to that of the dictatorship. For example, Cory recognized that the large sum of foreign debt incurred by the Marcos regime never benefited the Filipino people. Nevertheless, Cory expressed her intention to pay off those debts. Unknown to many Filipino was the fact that there was a choice of waiving the setup because those were the debt of the dictator and not of the country. Cory's decision is an indicator of her government's intention to carry on a debt-driven economy.